Hello there. Thank you very much for coming. And there are many, many reasons for me, I should say, to come here to Exeter College, the outstanding further education college in Devon. You have a total of 462 courses, some of which I've tried this morning, from particle physics to cake decorating. And you offer your students an extraordinary chance to skill themselves in everything from football coaching to specialist Devon cookery, industrial robotics, heavy vehicle manufacture and design. And I'm thrilled that you offer philosophy and languages and even classical civilization. But this is the home of the practical, the hands-on disciplines that are not only academically and intellectually challenging, but which are also of immediate practical usefulness and relevance to the world we live in. And I don't just mean useful for individual jobs and livelihoods. All of us in this country need you to have those practical skills. We need those practical skills collectively as a society and as an economy more than ever. And so today I want to set out how this government will offer a lifetime skills guarantee to help people train and retrain at any stage in their lives and enable us not just to come through this crisis, but to come back stronger and build back better. Our economy has been shaken by COVID, and in the hand-to-mouth scrabblings of the pandemic, the shortcomings of our labour market and our educational system have been painfully apparent. In the last few months, I've been touring labs where people, many of them young, are working flat out on testing samples, testing for the disease, testing for the efficacy of potential vaccines, testing the tests. And it's hard work. It requires endless patience and good hand-eye coordination. It also requires an excellent grounding in lab techniques and in the science. And every time I've been fascinated to find that a sizable proportion of the technicians are from overseas. And although I welcome that, because it's one of the glories of our education system that it attracts so many people from around the world, we have to face the fact that at this moment, when we need them so much, there is a shortage of UK-trained lab technicians, just as there is a shortage of so many crucial skills. We're short of skilled construction workers and skilled mechanics and skilled engineers, and we're short of hundreds of thousands of IT experts. And it's not as though the market doesn't require these skills. The market will pay richly. The problem is one of supply. And somehow our post-18 educational system is not working in such a way as to endow people with those skills. And I don't for a second want to blame our universities. I love our universities, and it's one of this country's great achievements, massively to have expanded higher education. But we also need to recognise that a significant and growing minority of young people leave university and work in a non-graduate job and end up wondering whether they did the right thing. Was it sensible to rack up that debt on that degree? Were they ever given the choice to look at the more practical options, the courses just as stimulating that lead more directly to well-paid jobs? We seem, on the one hand, to have too few of the right skills for the jobs our economy creates, and on the other hand, too many graduates with degrees which don't get them the jobs that they want. And the truth is, we're not giving anywhere near enough of the right kind of training or support to the 50% of young people who don't want to go to university, and so we're depriving them of the chance to find their vocation and develop a fulfilling, well-paid career. So the result is business isn't happy, the economy is underproductive, and many working adults are stuck in jobs without much future when they're hungry for new opportunities. So it's time for change, for radical change. And let's begin by admitting that part of the problem is that not every FE college, not every training college is as superb as Exeter College. We need to invest in skills and we need to invest in FE. And that's why we're putting £1.5 billion into upgrading and improving colleges across the country, fixing the leaky ceilings, bringing forward £200 million this year. The facilities here are awesome. I tried them myself this morning. And improving all FE is part of our levelling up agenda to ensure that the same quality applies everywhere. And as everybody knows, you can't acquire skills in the classroom alone. You need to learn on the job to build up the muscle memory and not just the theoretical understanding. So I can announce today that we will be expanding apprenticeships, reforming the system so that unspent funds can be used more easily to support apprenticeships, not just in big companies, but in the SMEs, where there's so much potential for job creation. And we want many more of these apprenticeships to be portable, so you can take them from company to company. Suppose you're in a small startup making videos for YouTube, and the project ends, so you've got to move to another such small company. Under our plans, you'll be able to take that apprenticeship to your new employer, and it won't die with the end of the contract. But if we're going to reform our post-18 education, we must go much further. We've got to end the pointless, nonsensical gulf that's been fixed for generations, more than 100 years, between the so-called academic and the so-called practical varieties of education. It's absurd to talk about skills in this limited way. Everything is ultimately a skill, a way of doing something faster, better, more efficiently, more accurately, more confidently. Whether it's carving or painting or bricklaying or writing or drawing or mathematics, Greek philosophy, every single study can be improved not just by practice, but by teaching. So now is the time to end this bogus distinction between FE and HE. We're going to change the funding model so that it is just as easy to get a student loan to do a year of electrical engineering at an FE college or do 2 years of electrical engineering as it is to get a loan to do a 3-year degree in politics, philosophy and economics. The Auger Review highlighted the complexity of the funding system, the bias that propels young people into universities and away from technical education. It's time to end that bias. We will give FE colleges access to the main student finance system so that they're better able to compete with universities, not for every FE course, but for a specific list of valuable and mainly technical courses to be agreed with employers. And in the coming years, as part of our lifetime skills guarantee, we will move to a system where every student will have a flexible lifelong loan entitlement to 4 years of post-18 education. And suddenly, with that 4-year entitlement, and with the same funding mechanism, you bring universities and FE closer together. You level up between them, and a new vista of choice opens up. I want every student with the aptitude and the desire to go to university to get the support they need. But I also want all young people to be given a real choice in life and not to feel there's only one route to success. At the moment, many young people feel they have to go for the degree option. They feel they have only one chance to study and to borrow. They might as well go for the maximum and get a degree. Under our plans, you could go for a 1-year technical qualification and launch yourself at life, or you could do that and then go to university later on. You have the choice. And it will be easier for older people to borrow to do courses locally and to study and train part-time to acquire the skills that can transform their lives. And of course, we need this nimbleness now, this flexibility to acquire new skills, because COVID has massively accelerated changes that were already happening in the UK economy, whether in retail or in restaurant chains. And while the government is building on our furlough scheme, and we're devising ever more imaginative ways to safeguard jobs and livelihoods, including the winter economy plan, which Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, announced last week. Alas, as Rishi said, we cannot save every job, but what we can do is give people the skills to find and create new and better jobs. Of the workforce in 2030, 10 years from now, the vast majority are already in jobs right now. But a huge number of them are going to have to change jobs, to change skills, and at the moment, if you're over 23, the state provides virtually no free training to help you. In fact, we've seen a hemorrhage in the last 20 years in adult education, 1 million fewer than there were. We're going to change that right now. We're expanding the digital boot camps where you can learn IT, whatever your age, replicating our highly successful training camps in Manchester and Birmingham in 4 more locations. Above all, from next April, we will introduce a new funding promise. As part of our lifetime skills guarantee, we will now fund technical courses for adults equivalent to A-level, all of which teach skills that are highly in demand. They'll give anyone who left school without an A-level or equivalent the qualifications they need when they need them, helping people to change jobs and find work in the burgeoning new sectors that this country is creating. So, suppose you work in retail or hospitality, and you think you're going to find, you need to find a new job. And before COVID, people were already shopping ever more online, already sending out for food. But the crisis has compressed that revolution. So let's imagine that you're 30 years old and you left school without A-levels, and you're thinking, you know, you could find a job, you were in retail or hospitality, you could find a job in the wind farm sector in the northeast, or in space technology in Newquay, or in construction here in Exeter, or retrofitting homes, so as to reduce carbon. You might see a job for yourself on one of the vast engineering and infrastructure projects that this government is leading, a surveyor or a rail technician. You might want to work in adult care, crucial sector for our country. You have a range of options in theory, but you need that technical know-how. You need that A-level equivalent qualification. And we will fund it. We will give you the skills you need. The British economy is in the process of huge and rapid change, driven by the internet and the possibilities of remote communication. But as old types of employment fall away, new opportunities are opening up with dizzying speed. Vast new sectors in which this country already leads or can lead the world. And over the last few centuries, there is no other country that has shown the same adaptability, the same ingenuity in matching the demands of new technology. But for the last few decades, alas, we have been hamstrung as a country by a lack of investment in infrastructure, in science, by our antiquated planning system, and by our failures in technical education. And this government is putting that right. We're making unprecedented investments in infrastructure and doubling the investment in science and technology from £11 billion to £22 billion a year by 2024. We're changing the planning rules so that it's easier to provide homes for young families and for businesses to grow and invest. And we're transforming the foundations of the skills system so everyone has the chance to train and retrain. And this combination of reforms will tackle the fundamental problems in our economy of productivity and growth. helping the country to invent new industries and contribute to humanity's great challenges, from fighting pandemics to achieving net zero carbon emissions. Above all, it will make this country, our United Kingdom, richer, and it will make our country fairer. So my message today is that at every stage in your life, this government will help you get the skills you need through our lifetime skills guarantee. We'll upgrade further education colleges across the country with huge capital investment. We'll expand apprenticeships, making it easier to get a high-quality apprenticeship and connect them better to local employers who know where the jobs of the future are going to emerge. We'll fund free technical courses for adults equivalent to A-level, extend our digital boot camps. We'll expand and transform the funding system so it's as easy to get a loan for a higher technical course as for a university degree, and will enable FE colleges to access funding on the same terms as our most famous universities, and will give everyone a flexible lifelong loan entitlement to 4 years of post-18 education. So adults will be able to retrain with high-level technical courses instead of being trapped in unemployment. And this long-term plan, learning from what has worked around the world, will finally enable our amazing country to close the gap with other countries that in this one respect have had, or thought they've had, the edge on us when it comes to skills and technical education. They thought they had the edge on us for 100 years. Well, we have the talent. We have the potential. All we need to do is give people the chance. And yes, we face a once-in-a-century pandemic, but now is the time to fix a problem that has plagued this country for decades. Now is the time to end the pointless, snooty, and frankly vacuous distinction between the practical and the academic. And now is the time to give everybody, with this lifetime skills guarantee, give people of all ages the means and the confidence to switch and to get the skills they need. And now is the time for all of us to begin to build back better. Thank you all very much indeed for your patience. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that was, thank you very much for sitting and listening through that. But I wish I could turn to you guys and ask the questions. But I think we've got to go to the media first. My instruction, is that right? We've got to go first to the media. I see Vicky Young from the BBC. Vicky, let's go to you first. Vicky.
Prime Minister, the COVID pandemic is causing a huge rise in unemployment, but many are already being made redundant and they need help now.
Yes.
Why are you telling them that they have to wait until next April? Is it because you're worried that colleges and employers just aren't going to be ready for the massive demand? And intriguingly, listening to you there, you and the Chancellor have talked about not all jobs being viable in the long term. Are you saying that the traditional retail industry will never recover?
Well, first of all, what we're saying is, of course, nobody has to wait. We're starting the Kickstart support now, as you know, Vicky. We're putting £2 billion into helping people get the jobs they need with support equivalent to the value of the living wage. So and I think that most people would agree that the Chancellor's package last week was very creative, very imaginative to keep people going. We want to do that. We want to put our arms, as I've said before, around the workforce of this country to keep people in jobs. This is about a package to support lifelong learning, a lifetime skills guarantee that we think will help not just deal with the consequences of the crisis, but to deal with basic problems that the UK economy has had for a long time. And no, I'm not going to. You ask about retail, Vicky. I'm not going to, say that there's, any particular sector faces some, fatal or mortal change. I think all kinds of ways that that sectors will continue to evolve, but there will be change, and not every job will be the same. And so it's vital that we give people the training that they need, and that's what this is all about. Vicky, thank you very much. Can we go to Carl Dinnan of ITV?
Thank you, Prime Minister. As we've heard, a lot of this training doesn't begin until next year, but today the Migration Advisory Committee says we right now need social care workers, bricklayers, even butchers. In the meantime, while we're waiting to train people up, should we be inviting migrants into the country to fill those gaps? And just on a related issue to all this, should students who aren't getting full university tuition get a refund on their university tuition fees?
Oh, thanks very much, Carl. On the need to support the social care sector and many other sectors of the economy, yes, it's absolutely true that over many years, as I said earlier on, we have in this country been able to attract lots of talented people from around the world, and I remain as a very, very open to this country being a beacon for scientific geniuses who want to come here, talented people who want to come and make their lives here. That's very, very important, and we're going to continue to do that. This government is actively championing that. But obviously, we also want to have control over our immigration system, a points-based system of immigration. And above all, we want to be able to ensure that people growing up in this country get the opportunities and the skills that they need. And that is really what this is all about. This is about a big package so that people get more apprenticeships, more training, improve our FE, but also get the opportunity for a lifetime skills guarantee. That's the plan. And as for your question about universities, Carl, that's really a matter for them and their places of education. I hope that they can continue to get value with the courses that they're being given. Let's go. Thanks, Carl. Let's go to Andy Bell of Sky News.
Actually, it's Channel 5 News, Prime Minister.
Oh, sorry, it's Andy Bell. Sorry, Andy, forgive me. That's terrible.
That's all right. That's all right. Thank you. So, Prime Minister, new measures brought in for the northeast of England yesterday. This has been confusing people ever since. Can you tell us whether people can still meet from different households in a pub garden outside? Can you tell us whether that's the case? One of your ministers couldn't this morning. And can you therefore understand why people are saying this is getting very, very complicated for people to follow these rules? And if they get them wrong, they could face big fines.
Andy, look, the first thing to say is I totally understand people's feelings about this, but I think the vast majority of people also understand that we need to be getting this virus down, allowing people to continue in education, and keeping our economy going in the way that we are. That is absolutely vital. Now, on the rule of 6, outside the areas where, such as the northeast, where extra measures have been brought in, it's 6 inside, 6 outside, and in the northeast and other areas where extra tight measures have been brought in, you should follow the guidance of local authorities. But it's 6 in a home or 6 in hospitality, but as I understand it, not 6 outside. That's the situation there. But clearly, for everybody watching this, and I appreciate that this is one of those things that people will feel is confusing. Just bear in mind, we are fighting a pandemic with the tools that we have, which is the great common sense of this country. It was very, very effective in March and April. It worked in driving the virus down. We need it to work again. We all need to pull together, follow the guidance, wash your hands, cover your face in the settings where in enclosed spaces where you should, keep your distance, get a test if you have symptoms. That's the most effective thing we can do. But in the areas, Andy, where there are particular measures that have been brought in by local councils or by the government, then look at the guidance for exactly what you should do in those cases. Thanks, Andy. Let's go to Mesa Hall of the Express.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Late on Sunday night, your government slipped out some new regulations, including bans on singing and dancing in pubs. Some of your MPs are comparing you to Oliver Cromwell and Big Brother. Are you comfortable announcing these sort of regulations or just slipping them out without even proper explanation?
Well, look, of course, nobody wants to do these kinds of things. Nobody in their right mind wants to stop people singing and dancing in pubs or enjoying themselves in the normal way. But I'm afraid we're still we're no longer in the emergency of March, but we are still in a serious situation. And I just say to everybody, of course, I strongly believe that there are all sorts of reasons to be hopeful and to be optimistic. I think that with the improvements that we're seeing in test and release schemes, with the potential around the corner of a vaccine, with much better therapies for the disease, the world will change. The way we think about this virus is going to change and massively improve. But for now, we have to work together. We have to follow the guidance, and I appreciate the characterization that you give of it, Mesa. But we've got it. If we all work together and get this thing down, get this virus down, then we can keep going with our strategy, keep education open, keep the economy moving, and work for the day, as I say, when I believe that those medical scientific improvements will truly deliver the long-term liberation that we need. But that is what we're doing. That's the strategy. And to deliver it, Mesa, we've all basically got to work together and follow the guidance. And that's what I respectfully say to my colleagues in Parliament. And they will, as I know that they all want, they will have an opportunity to talk about these issues, to debate them properly, and to discuss them as parliamentarians should. Thanks, Mesa. Let's go to Nigel Morris of the Eye.
Prime Minister, can you hear me?
I can, Nigel. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Tens of thousands of people across the country seem to be suffering from what is now being called long COVID. What is the government doing to support those people and perhaps to facilitate research into what is a mysterious condition? Yeah. And can you offer any personal advice about the best way to recover from coronavirus? And can you reassure some of your worried MPs that you're 100% fully recovered?
Yeah, well, okay, well, just on those who are experiencing long-term debilitating effects of COVID, a huge amount of work is being done by our doctors into that phenomenon. It plainly exists. One of the reasons we need to get the virus down, stop another big spike in new cases of COVID, is because we need the NHS to deal with all the existing backlog, to deal with the cardiac issues, to deal with cancer, to deal with all the other complaints that people have. But on my own, I can certainly tell you, Nigel, I'm fitter than I was before. It may irritate you to know. I'm fitter as a butcher's dog. Thanks basically to losing weight. I hesitate to give anybody any advice, but losing weight is a very good thing to do when you reach 17 stone 6, as I did, at a height of about 5 feet 10. Probably a good idea to lose weight, and so that's what I've done. Feel much better. Anyway, Anna Torhurst from Polholm. Thanks, Nigel. Thank you.
Thanks, Prime Minister. It's been a week since you announced pubs and bars have to close at 10 p.m. Your government has still not been able to provide the evidence such a measure will have an effect in driving down the infection rate, beyond suggesting that people don't follow the rules on social distancing as well, the later it gets into the evening. You've cited Belgium, who implemented a similar rule and saw cases fall, but that was in tandem with the full nighttime curfew. Whereas all that's happened in the UK is that the policy has sort of harmed the already fragile hospitality industry and led to a raft of post-10 p.m. impromptu street parties. Do you still stand by the policy, and will you look at the wider licensing rules to prevent this from continuing in the future?
Well, thanks very much, Anna. What I would say about hospitality, again, of course, nobody wants to impose a curfew or a limit of any kind, but we've got to look at the spread of this disease. Alas, it is spread by human contact. I'm afraid that the hospitality sector is an obvious place of transmission of coronavirus. We have to get it down, and that's what we're doing, and that's what this country is again doing together. But the crucial thing is that by getting the virus down in the way that we can also keep education and the economy going. So, and I would really draw a distinction between what's happening now and what happened in March. This is not, and nowhere is this the same as the lockdown in March. And the crucial thing is that by our collective action, we are allowing hospitality to keep going. Hospitality is not being closed down. Yes, alas, we have to place some restrictions, which I certainly don't relish, but it's because we're working together to keep the virus down that we're able also to keep things moving. Anyway, thank you very much, Anna. I don't know whether we have time for any more questions or no. We're out of time. Can I just thank everybody here at Exeter College very much for your kindness. Thank you for the tutorial in bricklaying and shaving wood, which I much enjoyed, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.